If you're a real estate agent sitting on a database and not emailing it consistently, then you are definitely leaving money on the table. And I know email can sound old school to you Gen Zers out there. It can sound boring and just like one more thing that you need to add to your plate and to-do list. But the truth is, for most agents, your database is one of the most underutilized assets in your business because you do not need millions of views, a massive social following, or to go viral in order to make it as an agent. But what you do need to do is to stay top of mind with the people who already know you. And one of the best ways to do that is with a weekly email newsletter. Now, we'll talk a bit later in the video about why you probably shouldn't call it a newsletter because it just sounds boring. But for the purposes of this video, that's what I'm going to call it because you get the gist of what I mean, and I'm going to outline in this video exactly what I mean by the term newsletter, what to include, and how to execute on it. I'm also going to break down why weekly newsletters are so powerful, along with some of the best practices plus the major mistakes to avoid if you want people to actually open and read your emails. By the way, I'm Sarah Newman. I'm a top 250 agent here in Charleston, South Carolina, and an icon agent at eXp Realty. And my mission on this channel is to help you create an enjoyable, sustainable real estate business, all without burning out. I've been sending weekly emails to my database for 3 years without fail, and our clients and Sphere really love them and look forward to opening that email every single week. And now I want to share with you the big picture and why emails still matter so much. Something that's really prevalent in our industry is that a lot of agents will continue chasing new leads, posting on social media, trying to get attention from strangers online while completely neglecting the audience they already have. This makes no sense because your database already includes people that know, like, and trust you, or at the very least are much warmer than a random internet lead. The goal of email is not to blast people with salesy updates. The goal is to create consistent familiarity. You want to stay relevant, present, and remembered, because you want your name to be the first one that people think of who are already in your database when they have thoughts like, maybe we should move this year, or I have a friend that needs an agent, or simply I have a real estate question or am curious about what's going on in this market. So one of the amazing things that a weekly email does is that it keeps you in people's worlds every single week without requiring a phone call or a text message, or a constant stream of manual follow-up. By sending a weekly email, our team is in front of our database a minimum of 52 times every single year. That's powerful. Now, of course, we're doing other touch points outside of that, but as a guarantee, if you're sending a weekly email, you can be sure that you're not going to be one of those agents that just gets forgotten years later when that client goes to transact again and they can't even remember your name, which is sad but true. That happens all the time. What I think a lot of agents miss when it comes to the idea of sending a weekly email is that they think it's going to generate immediate leads. And while once in a while it might, the actual purpose is to build a long-term sales asset. It compounds. Every email reinforces your brand. Every email builds familiarity. Every email reminds people that you are active and present and knowledgeable. And every email gives someone a reason to think of you, forward you to their friends, or reply to you. And when done right, it becomes one of the few marketing channels that you actually own. This is so underrated. Now, you know I love myself some YouTube for lead gen. I truly think it's some of the best lead gen that you can do as a real estate agent. I have tons of videos about it on the channel. But the truth is, I don't own YouTube. We don't own Instagram. We don't own Facebook. We don't own TikTok. And that makes those platforms inherently more risky because what if they just shut down one day and your entire business is now at risk? In contrast, your email list is something that you have power over. But your email list is yours, and that makes it incredibly valuable. You have a direct line of communication from you to this other human without having to rely on an algorithm. That is gold, my friends. If you have 500, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people eventually on your list and you have their personal email so that you can get in touch with them, that's way more powerful than getting hundreds of thousands of views on a random reel on Instagram or a YouTube video. You actually have a way to reach out to these people. Okay, so hopefully you get my point about why a weekly email is so effective and important. Now let's talk about why weekly. Can you do monthly? The truth is that consistency wins. A lot of agents send one email every few months or just randomly when they remember, and then they wonder why it doesn't provide them the result that they're seeking. Weekly works because it creates rhythm. People get used to hearing from you. You become part of their routine. We send our weekly email out every Thursday at 8 a.m., and I'm gonna get to what's included in it later, but one of the things we include is an upcoming events calendar. And I personally have heard from numerous people on our email list that they look forward to reading that every single Thursday, and it gives them ideas of things they want to do that weekend. When you can provide people with that kind of value, you will be remembered. Over time, this consistency builds trust and familiarity in a way that random outreach never will. And weekly gives you more touch points than if you were to only do monthly. Now, I know some agents who do monthly and they say that they're having good results. I don't know exactly what their results are. And a consistent monthly email is better than doing nothing. However, I strongly believe that weekly is the way to go. Weekly gives you more chances to give value, to get opens, to get replies, to get referrals, to get listing opportunities, to drive traffic to your listings or videos, and to remind people of who you are and what you do. One email usually won't change your business overnight, but 52 thoughtful emails a year absolutely can. Okay, now like I alluded to earlier, one of the shifts in your mind that you probably need to make is to stop thinking of it like a newsletter. I use that word just because it's the word I've always used, and most people more or less get the gist of what I mean when I say the word newsletter, but the truth is it's not really quite on point. Because when people hear the word newsletter, they think of something boring, corporate-y, generic, overly designed, and something that's easy to ignore. The best real estate emails don't feel like newsletters. They feel more like a weekly local briefing, a helpful update, a note from a trusted local expert, or a here's what's happening this week kind of email. So while you can call it newsletter internally, I wouldn't use that word externally to your clients. So for example, we call our weekly newsletter our Charleston Insider email. See how that is just positioned so much better? Don't you want to be a Charleston Insider and know what's going on? Absolutely, but do you just want to receive some random newsletter? No, nobody wants that. The goal is to create something that people actually want to open. You don't want it to feel too formal or like it's just purely AI generated by some random third-party service that you're paying. We can usually spot those from a mile away. You want your email to feel useful, current, local, and easy to consume. Almost like a friend who always knows what's going on. Which brings me to my next point that you're probably wondering now, what should I actually put in my weekly newsletter? This is where a lot of agents get stuck. They think, what would I even send every week? Here's the good news. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time. In fact, the best newsletters often have repeatable sections. Here's the format that I've been using for 3 years that has worked well. Every week we start with some kind of featured story. Sometimes it's a big local event coming up that we want to spotlight, or a roundup of new restaurants, or some interesting economic updates happening in our city, or things people can do on an upcoming holiday like the 4th of July, or a big relevant news story we want to cover like a new development that's breaking ground. For example, let me go ahead and show you a recent newsletter that we sent out in February. So as you can see, we start off at the top with an intro, giving a quick overview of what's coming in the newsletter. And in this specific example, we talked about some huge events coming up this spring. So for example, every spring we have something called the Cooper River Bridge Run, which brings at least 35,000 people to town and is a 5K and 10K race that goes over one of the big bridges here from Mount Pleasant to downtown. It's a huge event and people love it. And there's some other recurring spring events that happen right around the same time of year, so we just put them all together in this featured section. Then we have a calendar of activities for the month. These are all clickable so they can go get more information or buy tickets or learn more about this event. After this section, it's followed by a snippet where we feature our latest YouTube video. And then we have a featured listing at the bottom that links back to our website, as well as another link back to our website where they can search for homes. And then we just have our footer with photos of our team. And so that's it, repeated every single week. As I said earlier, we get feedback from our past clients that they love opening up this email and that they really get value from it and look forward to reading it. And it's also serving our leads in our database. We work with a lot of relocation buyers. And so some people who receive this don't live in Charleston, but that's actually okay because they're considering Charleston, and this email gets them excited about living here. If they read this email, they're going, wow, Charleston seems amazing. Look at all these fun events that are happening. I can't wait to live there. And when I live there, I want to go do these things. So don't make the mistake of thinking that everyone on your list has to live locally. As long as they're interested in your town or are considering moving to your city, then they're a good candidate for your list. Other examples of things that you could possibly include in your newsletter are things like one quick market insight, a local business spotlight, a common buyer or seller question, something that's more interactive, maybe a section like a this or a that, or a guess the price. Perhaps you want to write a quick personal note or opinion on something happening locally. Again, covering things like what's new in your area, or different neighborhood spotlights or new construction opportunities, as well as local openings with new businesses or things like new parks or community resources and just general community buzz. What tends to perform well is lifestyle content, not boring market stats. I'm somehow on a few other random real estate agents' email lists, and they'll send me a monthly email with things like, the days on market is up 10%, or the months of inventory is now at 4 months, which really is all real estate jargon that means nothing to your audience. They don't know what that means. The exception could be if your audience is all real estate investors, then something like that might be more appropriate and actually work. But even so, you don't want to just share data. You want to share what that data means for them as a buyer or seller. Give them the interpretation, not just the statistic. Because most people don't wake up every Tuesday dying to read real estate statistics or mortgage rate commentary. But they will absolutely open something that feels relevant to where they live and what they personally care about. The magic is in combining valuable local content with a splash of real estate relevance. You don't want your email to feel like a drip campaign. You want it to feel like the most useful local update in their inbox. So on that note, let's continue to explore what separates a newsletter that people ignore from one that people actually engage with. Number one is that you need a good subject line. This matters a lot. Just like you need a good title and thumbnail on YouTube for people to watch the video, you need a good subject line for people to open your email. You could have the best email ever, but if no one opens it, then nothing else really matters and it's honestly just a waste of time. So some subject line patterns that tend to work really well are things that invoke curiosity, local relevance, urgency, specificity, and short, punchy wording. Here are some of my top performing subject lines. Charleston wine and food returns. Here's what to expect, and a little wine emoji. So you can see this is super local and relevant and specific. Someone that's interested in this event wants to open this email. Another one is, what is SEAWE? Charleston's Wildlife and Art event returns February 14th through 16th. So again, this is similar to the last one. SEAWE is the Southeastern Wildlife Expo. We have it every February. It's a huge event here. And so again, people are interested in something super specific and local like this. To give you a different example, every month we also send an economic update, which might sound really boring, and to some people perhaps it is, but a lot of our clients really enjoy it. And like I talked about earlier, you want to do things that are repeatable. So now people expect that every month we'll be sending an economic update. So our economic update subject lines tend to do well. For example, Charleston Economic Insights, February edition. Using a word like insights helps create intrigue and build your authority. Only somebody that's an expert could share insights. In contrast, this is an actual subject line from one of those random other agents' emails that I told you somehow I got on their list. and theirs said, Market Update March 2026, North Charleston. Now, if you lived in North Charleston, again, maybe that would be of interest to you, but I think just putting Market Update is too boring and not intriguing enough. If you're going to send a market update type of email, you want to make sure that the subject line is catchy and relatable. For example, something like, are we in a buyer's market yet? 3 things Charleston homeowners should know this week. The $100,000 pricing mistake sellers are still making. Feel the difference there? You want the subject line to feel interesting and clear, not generic or robotic. The cleaner and more intriguing, the better. Also notice how our subject line isn't just monthly real estate newsletter. That sounds like homework and something boring that someone's gonna force me to read. So please get creative with your subject lines. And of course, you can even use resources like Claude and ChatGPT to help you with this. Now, if you're wondering what is a good open rate anyway, well, according to ChatGPT, across all industries, a solid current benchmark for open rates is about a 32 to 34% average open rate. The practical rule of thumb is 20 to 25% is decent, 30% or more is strong, and 35% or more is very strong for many lists, depending on the list quality and audience. For a real estate newsletter, you should really aim for 30% or more if your list is warm and you have permission to email those people, and it should be even higher if your database is highly engaged. Our current average open rate on our weekly newsletter is 41%, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now, an important caveat to mention here is that open rates are less reliable than they used to be, because email privacy features can inflate them. So you don't want to just look at this metric alone. They're best used alongside other metrics like clicks and replies and the number of unsubscribes, rather than just a metric on their own. And hot tip, you also want to scrub your list occasionally, meaning over time you want to remove people who aren't engaged and never open emails. First of all, you're paying your email service provider based on your number of subscribers, so why pay for someone who you're never reaching? Inactive people have zero value for you and zero value for that inactive person. It's just dead weight. The truth is, a quality list that is highly engaged, let's say it's 5,000 people, will always outperform a junk list of, let's say, 100,000 people. In my past life before real estate, I used to work in email marketing, and my sister also worked in this field with different companies. And we have experience working with people who have very small lists of a few thousand and huge lists of hundreds of thousands or more. And we can tell you firsthand that sometimes those smaller email lists are way more powerful because those people are curated, they're engaged, it's the ideal client, and they want to read the emails. If you're going to fill your list with a bunch of paid leads or random internet people that don't know you and don't care about you, you're not going to get great results. So be mindful of who gets on your list and who stays on your list. And your email service provider software can help you with this. It can, for example, pull a list of people that haven't opened an email in 6 months. And you can either just remove them, or you can try one last ditch effort to send an email just to those people that said something like, did I do something wrong in the subject line? And then just make it kind of funny and cute and say, hey, we've noticed you haven't opened emails from us in the last 6 months. So if you want to stay subscribed, click here. Otherwise, we will automatically remove you from our list in the next week. That's just one example of a way that you can scrub your list, keep it tidy, keep it engaged. Okay, so my second tip on how to make a great email newsletter is to make it easy to read. Don't send giant walls of text. You want to use short paragraphs, clear sections, simple formatting, a clean layout, and easy to skim copy. The easier it is to read, the more likely people are to actually read it. You also don't want it to be overly branded, graphic heavy, or too stylized. This can feel very corporate and so polished that it's unrelatable, or could even look too cluttered if there's just visually too much going on to look at. As you saw earlier, we do have some branding in ours, like a heading with our team's logo, and we use our brand colors to break up the sections, and we do have a handful of graphics. But it's not a fully styled newsletter like people used to send. or that some luxury brands still lean heavy on. So for example, there's a luxury resort here in Charleston that sends beautiful emails. I mean, they really are stunning, but they are very graphic heavy and just so perfectly stylized that I personally don't think that works well for you as a real estate agent, because it's all about the personal relationship. Relationships matter, and that's what you're trying to build through the weekly newsletter. Again, trying to bring that value, give something interesting that people want to know. And if your email looks too hoity-toity, then it's probably not going to deliver on those promises. Now, that could be an exception depending on your market. If you do have super high-end luxury market, maybe something overly stylized and a luxury aesthetic could work well. But I still caution you, because some people's inboxes don't load graphics very well or at all. So ultimately, you want to ensure that it's more text heavy versus graphic heavy to make sure that people can actually read what you're sending them. Some people even go the full plain text route, meaning no graphics at all, which I think can work, especially if you are making it more of a personal update or just a quick market insight kind of email. But ultimately, we are in real estate, which is all about the marketing and images and visual aesthetics. So I think including at least a couple of photos is preferable. Just don't overdo it by making it look like a Pinterest board. The third tip is to write like a human. Last I checked, we're still humans. We haven't converted to robots quite yet. So this point is really important. The best emails feel personal, like I just mentioned, not too formal, not too polished. Write the way you speak. You do not need to sound corporate to sound credible. In fact, the more natural and conversational your email feels, the more people are to actually read it and even respond. You are your brand in real estate, so make it authentic to you, and then people can feel you through the screen. This is what makes your weekly email something that people want to open and connect with. And finally, tip number 4 is to make it useful, not self-centered. Hopefully this goes without saying, but just in case, your newsletter should not be things like, hey, look at my new listing. Look at all my sales. Hey, did you know I'm #1? Or here's all of my achievements, or constantly asking them, who else do they know who needs to buy and sell? No, that gets old fast and is not something that I personally would want to open if that was in my inbox. Instead, the email should answer this question: why would the reader care? Lead with value through the ways that I've outlined today. Then weave in your real estate business naturally and as a secondary goal, not the primary. One way to do this is to include a featured listing like you saw in my example earlier, or you could include something clickable or reply worthy. Something like, want my vendor list? Reply with the word vendors and we'll send that right over to you. Or thinking about moving this year? Reply with the word move and we'll get the conversation started. If you can get people to actually respond to your newsletter, this is a strong signal for email servers, and it helps get your emails delivered in the receiver's primary inbox. You could also have a soft, casual call to action at the bottom, something like, if you're thinking about buying or selling this year, or just want clarity on your options, reply to this email and I'm always happy to help. That's it. It doesn't need to be complicated. Okay, so before we wrap up, you now may be wondering, this sounds great, I'm in, but how do I actually get people on my list? And when I first started my list, it was very small. It was a couple hundred people. And if yours is even smaller than that, it's totally fine. You want to gather your current clients, past clients, people in your sphere and database already. So like your friends and your family, maybe some leads that you've had a conversation with. Start where you are, and then over time, you can build your list. How? Well, as you're continuing to meet new people, you can give them this as a piece of value. So you can say, hey, by the way, every Thursday I send an email out called the Charleston Insider, and it has a calendar of events and features local happenings. If that sounds good to you, I'd love to include you on the list. Can I get your email? And most people are like, that sounds great, sure. And of course, you can build your list online, which is how most people are doing it these days. So maybe you have a landing page that you direct traffic to through your LinkedIn profile on Instagram or the description of your YouTube videos. Whatever platform you're on, you can have a little call to action, right? In a caption, in a video, all the ways that you would normally link to something, you can put it across all of your branding. On your website, you also want to have an opt-in box for it. Make it clear and obvious, so it could be either a pop-up on the screen, or it could just be something above the fold or a banner at the top of your website, something that people are going to see. And again, please don't have the call to action say, join our newsletter. Again, you don't want to call it a newsletter out to the public. You want it to sound enticing. On our homepage of our website, we have a section with the headline that says, Become a Charleston Insider. And in the subtext, we do use the word newsletter, but we really expand on it. So we say, every Thursday, you'll receive a value-packed newsletter that's your guide to all things Charleston, upcoming events, news, fun facts, local business spotlights, and more with a splash of real estate. So I think in that context, using the word newsletter is okay because we really explain what that means. It's not just, hey, subscribe to our newsletter, period, right? We give context for what they can expect and try to build excitement about why they really want to subscribe. So if you've been putting this off because you think it has to be perfect, I want to reassure you that it doesn't. Trust me, I get it. I'm a recovering perfectionist as well, but perfect is the enemy of good. And we will rarely get things done if we're waiting for everything to be perfect. So your first version can be very simple. In fact, simple is often better. You don't need a huge list. You don't need a fancy design. You don't need to be some master copywriter. You just need to start. Pick a day, pick a time, send something useful, and then repeat. Because one thoughtful weekly email to your database is worth a lot more than most agents think. For the first year that I sent my newsletter out to the database, I wrote it myself. Eventually, I hired it out, trained that person to do it, and now every week I just do a quick skim through to review it and get it scheduled. And with AI, you can really save some time. It can help you create some engaging copy in your brand's voice. Again, you still want it to sound like you, not like a generic AI robot. I'm sure it can help you with the calendar of events and really pulling this whole thing together. So lean on that as a tool to get your foundational concepts together and save some time, but just above and beyond anything else, make sure it feels on brand to you so that it's something people can connect with. And of course, the most important thing is that it's going to deliver value to your clients and sphere. So if you're a real estate agent and you've been sleeping on email, I hope this gave you a new perspective on why it matters and how to make it work. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, where I talk all about how to build a more sustainable, scalable, and enjoyable real estate business so that you can thrive. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.